Some secrets are worth more than money. Some secrets can end careers. And some secrets, when whispered at exactly the right moment, can flip a rigged courtroom upside down. I'm Natalie, 29, and I'm a paralegal at a mid-sized law firm in Washington, D.C. My specialty is estate law and probate disputes. I've seen families destroy each other over wedding rings and china sets. I've watched siblings who once shared toys hire lawyers to fight over their parents' house. But I never thought I'd be on the other side of it. My grandmother died 6 months ago at 87. Margaret Choon was a force of nature career Navy nurse, served in Vietnam, came home and worked at Walter Reed for another 30 years. She left everything to me. The house, her savings $340,000, her investments $280,000, her Navy pension death benefits $50,000, everything. Total estate value, approximately $2.1 million. My mother and my sister got nothing. The will was crystal clear. Drafted by a lawyer, witnessed by 2 people, notarized, and filed properly. Gran was of sound mind when she wrote I have the lawyer's notes from their meeting, plus a letter Gran wrote explaining her decision. That letter said, Natalie is the only one who visited me without wanting something. The only one who called just to talk. The only one who remembered my birthday without Facebook reminding her. She earned this not through blood, but through love. My mother, Patricia, is 58 and works in pharmaceutical sales. She makes around $110,000 annually and has always lived above her means. My sister, Vanessa, is 32, married to a real estate agent, and currently pregnant with her 2nd child. They live in a $800,000 house they can barely afford. When Gran's will was read, Mom's face went purple. Vanessa started crying, and I sat there feeling a horrible mix of grief, guilt, and vindication. This is ridiculous, Mom said, the moment the lawyer finished. Mother was obviously confused. She wouldn't cut out her own daughter. Mrs. Choon, I met with your mother 3 times over 6 months to draft this will. She was absolutely clear about her wishes. I have detailed notes. She was 87. Obviously, you took advantage of her. The lawyer, a patient woman named Dorothy Free. Your mother was evaluated by a geriatric psychiatrist specifically to confirm her mental capacity. The evaluation is part of the file. Mom turned to me. You did this. You manipulated her. I didn't even know about the will until after she died, I said quietly. Liar. Vanessa's voice was venomous. You probably spent every visit poisoning her against us. I visited Gran every Sunday for 5 years. Where were you? I have kids. I'm busy. Unlike some people who have nothing but time, I bit back my response. There was no point arguing with Vanessa. She'd rewritten history in her head the moment it became convenient. What I didn't tell them in that moment was that I'd been documenting everything for years, not because I expected this, because it's what I do for work. Document. Preserve evidence. Prepare for the worst. I had records of every visit I made to Gran's house. Photos time-stamped with dates. Text messages between me and Gran. Cards she sent me. Birthday gifts. Christmas presents. 5 years of relationship documented in meticulous detail. I also had records of every time Mom and Vanessa visited approximately 11 times in 5 years. Usually around Christmas or Gran's birthday, always asking for money. Mom borrowed $15,000 from Gran 3 years ago, never paid it back. Vanessa borrowed $8,000 for her wedding, never paid it back. They asked Gran to co-sign a loan for Vanessa's house. Gran refused. Vanessa didn't speak to her for 8 months. I documented all of it. 2 weeks after the will reading, I received a notice. Mom and Vanessa were contesting the will. They'd hired a lawyer, Robert Hammond, a probate attorney with a reputation for aggressive tactics and creative legal arguments. Their grounds: undue influence, lack of capacity, and suspicious circumstances around the will's creation. It was bullshit, and ikinyu italiano, but it would still cost me time, money, and emotional energy to fight. I hired my own attorney, Michael Torres, a bulldog of a lawyer who specialized in defending contested estates. He looked at Gran's file and smiled. This is one of the cleanest wills I've ever seen. Psychiatric evaluation, multiple witnesses, detailed notes from the drafting attorney, and a personal letter of explanation. They're not going to win, but they'll try. Oh, they'll definitely try, and it'll take about 8 to 12 months to resolve. My stomach dropped. A year of fighting my own family in court. There's one more thing, Michael said. Reviewing the case assignment, the judge assigned to this case is Richard Brennan. Should I know that name? Not unless you follow probate court closely. He's been on the bench for 25 years. Generally fair, but he has a reputation for being friendly with certain families. Old Arlington connections. You know how it is. I didn't like the sound of that, but I had no grounds to request a different judge. 3 months passed. Depositions, document requests, the legal machine ground forward slowly. Mom and Vanessa's attorney was throwing everything at the wall to see what would stick. In the meantime, I couldn't sell Grant's house or access most of the estate. It was frozen pending the outcome of the case. I was still living in my one-bedroom apartment in Alexandria, paying $1,850 in rent while sitting on a $1.4 million house I couldn't use. Then came Vanessa's wedding her vow renewal ceremony. Technically, since she and Brandon had been married for 4 years, but Vanessa wanted a big fancy wedding, and Mom was paying for it. The event was at an expensive venue in McLean. 150 guests, orchestra, imported flowers. The works probably cost $60,000 minimum. I almost didn't go, but Michael advised me to maintain appearances. Don't give them ammunition. Be the bigger person. Show the judge you tried to maintain family relationships despite the litigation. So I went, wearing a simple navy dress and bringing a $150 gift card as a present. The ceremony was beautiful, I'll admit. Vanessa looked stunning in a Vera Wang gown. Brandon looked nervous, but happy. Their daughter, Lily, age 3, was an adorable flower girl. The reception was where things got interesting. I was seated at table 12 far from the family tables, wedged between Brandon's cousins, who I'd never met. Mom was at table 1 with Vanessa and Brandon. The seating arrangement made the family dynamics crystal clear. I was there, but I wasn't family. Dinner was served filet mignon and Chilean sea bass. The speeches began. Brandon's father spoke about love and commitment. Vanessa's maid of honor told funny stories about college. Then Mom stood up. I want to thank everyone for being here tonight, she began, her voice warm and maternal. Vanessa and Brandon, you two are an inspiration. You've built such a beautiful life together, and you've given me 2 perfect grandchildren. She dabbed at her eyes dramatically. Family is everything. It's the foundation we build our lives on. It's the people who support us through hard times and celebrate our victories. And I'm so grateful that our family, our real family, is here tonight to celebrate this love. Her eyes found me across the room. The emphasis on real family was deliberate. Some people think family is about money or inheritance, she continued. But it's not. It's about loyalty. It's about being there for each other, and I know that Vanessa and Brandon understand that. Polite applause rippled through the room. I took a sip of wine and said nothing. After dinner, I was standing near the bar when Mom approached me. She'd had several glasses of champagne and her face was flushed. I can't believe you actually showed up, she said. Vanessa's my sister. You've been trying to steal from her since Mother died. That's not what's happening. And you know it. The hearing is Monday, Mom said, her voice dropping to a hiss. And you're going to lose. I hope you've prepared yourself for that. We'll see what the judge says. Mom smiled, the kind of smile that made my stomach turn. Oh, honey, Judge Brennan is an old friend. We go way back at least 30 years. He used to work with your father before the divorce. My blood went cold. You know the judge? Very well. We have dinner sometimes. He came to my 50th birthday party, and he's very sympathetic to mothers who've been alienated from their inheritances by manipulative children. She said it loud enough that several nearby guests turned to look. That's inappropriate, Mom. If the judge is friends with you, he should have recused himself. Oh, please, don't play lawyer with me. You're a paralegal, not an attorney. You have no idea how things actually work." She walked away, leaving me standing there with my heart pounding. I pulled out my phone and texted Michael. "Mom just told me she is friends with Judge Brennan. Personal relationship going back 30 years. This is a conflict of interest." His response came 10 minutes later. "Shit. File a motion for recusal first thing Monday morning. Document everything she said." Who witnessed it? I looked around. The guests nearby had already moved on to other conversations. No one was paying attention to me. No direct witnesses. Primera texted B, "But I'll write down everything she said while it's fresh." I left the reception early, claiming a headache. On the drive home, Mom's words kept echoing. Judge Brennan is an old friend. If that was true, I was screwed. A biased judge could destroy my case, regardless of how strong the evidence was. That night, I sat at my kitchen table with a glass of wine and Gran's old military file. She'd given it to me years ago, a thick folder full of her Navy records, commendations, deployment papers, and personal correspondence from her years in service. I'd been digitizing it slowly, preserving it for family history. I knew every page. And I knew something Mom didn't know. I knew Gran had served in naval intelligence, not as an analyst or translator, as an operations officer. Her work was classified, and even decades later, most of her service records were redacted. But she'd told me stories. Late at night, when it was just the two of us, she'd talk about her real work. The operations she'd run, the people she'd watched, the secrets she'd kept. One operation was called Garden Watch. It ran from 1987 to 1989 in the Washington, D.C. area. Gran wouldn't tell me details, but she said it involved surveillance of suspected foreign intelligence contacts among military families. She'd kept one document from that operation, a single page, partially redacted, with a list of 14 names. People who'd been under surveillance. People who'd been flagged for potential security concerns. One of those names was Richard J. Brennan, age 28 at the time. Junior JAG officer. The note next to his name: gambling debts. Compromised. I'd asked Gran about it once. She'd gone very quiet and said, "Some people think their secrets stay buried forever. They don't. They just wait for the right moment to surface." Now, looking at that document, I understood what she meant. If Judge Brennan had been under surveillance for security concerns, even if nothing came of it, that information could end his career. The mere appearance of compromise, the existence of an old intelligence file with his name on it, would be devastating. It would certainly be enough to force his recusal from my case. I made 3 copies of the document, one for my safe deposit box, one for Michael, one to bring to court on Monday. Then I did something I hadn't done since Gran died. I cried, not from fear or anger, but from the weight of what I was about to do. Gran had given me this file for a reason. She'd told me those stories for a reason. She'd known that one day I might need them. "I'm sorry," I whispered to her memory, "but I'm not losing to them. Not after everything." Monday morning arrived cold and gray. The hearing was scheduled for 10 a.m. at the Arlington County Courthouse. I met Michael in the lobby at 9:30. "I filed the emergency motion for recusal this morning," he said, "but it probably won't be heard before your hearing starts. Brennan will see it as a last-ditch attempt to delay. I have something else." I showed him the Garden Watch document. Michael's eyes widened as he read. "Jesus Christ. Where did you get this?" "My grandmother's military file. She was naval intelligence. This could be problematic. If this document is classified, it's declassified as of 2015. I checked. Everything from operations older than 30 years gets automatically reviewed and released unless it's specifically protected. And you're sure this is the same Richard Brennan? Middle initial, J. Age matches. He was JAG in the right time period. It's him." Michael was quiet for a long moment. "If you use this, there's no going back. Your mother will know you did it. Your sister will know. It'll destroy whatever's left of those relationships." "There's nothing left to destroy." He nodded slowly. "Okay. Keep it in your bag. Don't show it unless you absolutely have to. Let me try to handle this professionally first." We walked into courtroom for at 9:55. Mom and Vanessa were already there with their attorney, Robert Hammond. They sat on one side of the gallery, whispering intensely. Mom saw me and smiled. That same cold confident smile from the wedding. Judge Richard Brennan entered at 10:02. He was 65, gray-haired, distinguished-looking in his black robe. He settled behind the bench and reviewed his notes. Good morning. This is the matter of the estate of Margaret Chun. We're here today for a hearing on the motion to contest the will. Counsel, let's begin. The next hour was a blur of legal arguments. Hammond argued that Gran had been unduly influenced, that I'd isolated her from her family, that the psychiatrist's evaluation was cursory and incomplete. Michael countered with Gran's clear statements, the lawyer's detailed notes, the letter of explanation, and the documented pattern of my visits versus Mom and Vanessa's absence. Judge Brennan listened, asking occasional questions. His face was neutral, professional, but I noticed something. Every time Michael presented evidence favorable to my case, Brennan would frown slightly or interrupt with a skeptical question. Every time Hammond made an argument for Mom and Vanessa, Brennan would nod thoughtfully. It was subtle, but it was there. Around 11:15, Brennan said, Mr. Torres, I've reviewed your evidence, and I have to say, I find it somewhat convenient. Your client documented everything perfectly, almost as if she was building a case from the beginning. Your Honor, Ms. Chun is a paralegal. Documentation is her profession. She naturally keeps records. Or she knew exactly what she needed to do to make herself look like the devoted granddaughter while cutting out her own mother and sister. My stomach dropped. Your Honor? Michael said carefully, I'd like to remind the court that we've filed a motion for your recusal based on a friendship with the petitioner. Yes, I saw that motion. It's baseless. It's baseless. Patricia and I are acquaintances, nothing more. I'm perfectly capable of being impartial. With respect, Your Honor, Mrs. Chun stated at her daughter's wedding that you were old friends who go way back 30 years and that you were sympathetic to her position. That's her interpretation of our relationship. It doesn't reflect reality. Brennan's voice was sharp. And frankly, Mr. Torres, I find it concerning that you're resorting to these tactics. It suggests weakness in your case. I watched Michael's jaw tighten. We were losing. This judge was going to rule against me, and there was nothing we could do about it. Brennan continued. Looking at the totality of circumstances, I am inclined to find that there are sufficient questions about undue influence to warrant setting aside the will and distributing the estate according to intestacy laws. Your Honor. My voice surprised me. I hadn't planned to speak. May I address the court? Brennan looked annoyed. You're not an attorney, Miss Chun. I'm representing myself in this matter. Pro se. Litigants have the right to speak. He sighed. Very briefly. I stood up, my legs shaking but my voice steady. Your Honor. You said you're impartial, but my mother told me 3 days ago that you're old friends. She said you have dinner together. She said you'd be sympathetic to her position. Your mother may have overstated our relationship. Did you attend her 50th birthday party 6 years ago? Brennan went still. That was a large event. Many people were there. Yes or no, Your Honor? Did you attend? Ms. Chun, you're not interrogating me because if you did, that's a clear personal relationship that should have triggered your recusal the moment you saw her name on the case file. Hammond jumped to his feet. Your Honor, this is completely inappropriate. I agree, Brennan said coldly. Ms. Chun, you're out of line. I will not be questioned in my own courtroom about my personal. I pulled the folder from my bag. My hands weren't shaking anymore. Your Honor, I have a document here from a naval intelligence operation called Garden Watch. It ran from 1987 to 1989. My grandmother was the operations officer. The courtroom went very quiet. Brennan's face had gone pale. I don't know what you think you're doing. Garden Watch was a surveillance operation focused on potential security risks among military personnel and their families in the Washington, D.C. area. The operation identified 14 individuals of concern. I walked toward the bench, holding the folder. Michael tried to grab my arm, but I kept walking. Your name is on that list, Your Honor. Richard J. Brennan. Age 28. Junior JAG officer. Tenosha's gambling debts compromised. I was close enough now to see his face clearly. The color had drained completely. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. I don't know what came of that investigation, I continued quietly. Maybe nothing. Maybe it was a mistake. But the document exists. It's declassified as of 2015, which means it's public record. I laid the folder on the bench, and if it became public that a sitting probate judge was ruling on a case involving the granddaughter of the naval intelligence officer who once investigated him, well, that would look very bad, even if there was nothing to hide. Brennan stared at the folder like it was a live snake. Your Honor, I said, my voice barely above a whisper, so only he could hear. I'm not trying to threaten you, but I need you to be honest about whether you can be impartial in this case. Because my grandmother spent her life protecting secrets, and she taught me that sometimes the truth needs to come out. I stepped back. The courtroom was absolutely silent. Mom and Vanessa were staring at me with their mouths open. Hammond looked confused. Michael looked like he was having a heart attack. Brennan opened the folder with trembling hands. He stared at the document for a long moment. Then he closed it carefully and looked up. This hearing is recessed, he said, his voice hoarse. Counsel, meet me in chambers. Now, in chambers, Brennan sat behind his desk with his head in his hands. Michael, Hammond, and I stood awkwardly in front of him. That operation, Brennan said finally, was a nightmare. I was 28 years old, stupid, and I'd gotten in over my head with gambling. I owed money to the wrong people. Naval intelligence flagged me, investigated me, and cleared me. I paid off the debts, got help, and it never affected my career. But it happened, I said quietly. It happened! He looked up at me. Your grandmother knew about it. She was the operations officer, Margaret Chun. He shook his head slowly. I never made the connection. Different last name after she married, ... God. Your Honor, Hammond said. I don't understand what's happening. I should have recused myself the moment I saw Patricia's name on the case, Brennan said. We're not close friends, but we've known each other for 30 years. We've had dinner a handful of times over the years. I attended her birthday party, no hair, and I let that cloud my judgment. He stood up. I'm recusing myself from this case, effective immediately. It will be reassigned to Judge Martinez. And Miss Chun, he looked at me directly. I apologize. You were right to call me out. That took courage. I nodded, not trusting my voice. The document stays sealed, he continued. It's declassified, yes, but it's also irrelevant to this case. I'm asking you to keep it private. I never wanted it to be public, Your Honor. I just wanted a fair hearing. He nodded slowly. You'll get one. 3 months later, Judge Martinez ruled in my favor. The will was upheld in its entirety. Grand's estate was mine. Mom and Vanessa filed an appeal. It was dismissed. They sent me a letter 6 months after that, saying they wanted to reconcile and move past this difficult time. The letter mentioned that they were having financial difficulties and hoped I might find it in my heart to help family. I didn't respond. Instead, I sold Grand's house for $1.4 million. I paid off my student loans, maxed out my retirement accounts, and donated $50,000 to the Naval Intelligence Foundation in Grand's name. I also bought myself a beautiful 2-bedroom condo in Old Town Alexandria with a view of the Potomac. Every morning, I have coffee on my balcony and think about Gran. She taught me a lot of things. The value of documentation, the importance of truth, and the power of secrets kept until exactly the right moment. But the most important thing she taught me was this. Family isn't just blood. Family is who shows up. Who calls just to talk. Who remembers your birthday without Facebook. Family is earned. And sometimes The family that matters most is the one person who loved you enough to give you the tools to protect yourself even after she was gone. I keep the Garden Watch document in my safe deposit box, not as a weapon, but as a reminder. Some secrets are worth keeping. Some secrets are worth revealing, and knowing the difference is the most important thing of all. Gran knew the difference. And now, so do I.